Salutations, celestial sightseers. I'm David Fuller. Welcome to Eyes on the Sky. What's up this week? On June 10th, the largest planet in our solar system, Jupiter, will appear at opposition, which means it will be opposite Earth and the Sun in the sky. So it will be opposite us about midnight or so, but it rises earlier than that. And as you can see, it's kind of low there at about 9 o'clock. 10 o'clock, we're almost to where we need to be, because if we pull up our azimuth grid, we can see Jupiter then is about 15 degrees up. To me, that's kind of like the minimum height you need to be above the horizon to be able to see much of anything. Your view will still probably be kind of wavy, especially since here in the northern hemisphere we've got late spring going into summer, so we have a lot of heat rising off of buildings and off of parking lots and whatever else being released into the night sky, which is kind of gonna kill the view. The bigger problem that we also have is that you can watch how Jupiter, as it moves through the next month and a half or so, it does not get very high in the sky either, because the ecliptic is rather low. See that due south in about a month and a half, in mid to late July, Jupiter is not even 30 degrees up. It's barely above 25 degrees, which is still not very good, unfortunately. But it is the largest planet in the solar system. It's also going to be the biggest one that you can see through your telescope, even though Saturn has those lovely rings that will be coming up in another month or two as well. Jupiter is the one that's the monster of the planets. You can see the moons with binoculars. You won't see any detail on the planet, but you can actually watch the moons because they're bright enough. They're like 6 magnitude, so they're definitely bright enough to be able to see with binoculars. And when they're far enough away from the planet, you can spot them. I did see some interesting news stories today and the past couple days that have been saying things like, Jupiter is finally at its closest and you'll be able to see it in binoculars. And I'm like, yeah, you can pretty much do that anytime you can see Jupiter. Yes, it'll be in opposition. Yes, it's a great time to see it, but you can always see that. So that's not that big of a deal. But apparently I need to write better headlines for my videos. Jupiter also has something else that you will definitely want to try and take a look at if you can, especially with the telescope, and that is that the Great Red Spot appears to be getting smaller. It's been getting smaller for a number of years now, over the past couple of decades. We know that the Great Red Spot has been there at least since Galileo spied Jupiter through a telescope some 400 years ago, but it does seem to be getting smaller compared to what it used to be. So this Great Red Storm may not be around all that much longer. So try and take a look for that. The tricky part is, as I was saying, we don't have a lot of time to look at the planet, because if we skip ahead into August, see how we're already down at like 20 degrees, we could back up an hour or so, and it'll be back up at around 25 degrees. But go ahead even into September, at 9 o'clock, it's below 15 degrees, so we can back up to 8 o'clock, we're at 20, but go to 7 o'clock and it's still light out. So we only have a couple of months of good observing time to be able to see the planet Jupiter in the night sky. The best way to do that is going to be to use a telescope to see the detail on the planet itself. When we kind of zoom in on it, you can see how I've got this at 200 times magnification. That's not far off from how you might kind of perceive Jupiter to look at 200 times. Don't forget that you don't want to exceed about 50 times of magnification per inch or per 25 millimeters of aperture for your telescope. So if you've got a 4-inch aperture, don't go more than like 200 times. If you got 6-inch, don't go more than like 300 times, because you're just going to be kind of magnifying mush. Make sure your telescope is fully cooled, especially if you have a reflector or a catadioptric telescope that's got the lenses and mirrors. That will help you get a steadier view. And if you can, look over water, look over a field that's got tall grass. Anything that's not going to release a lot of heat is going to help you in being able to see it, because the planet is so low. That's going to give you a steadier view. You'll be able to use more magnification and not have the image be so wavy and try to break down. So do try that. If you can get a little bit additional magnification on it, you might see a little bit more. Something I found that's interesting about Jupiter when I was looking at some of the information that's over here, because there's a long list of information that Stellarium gives, and I try to take a lot of it off so it's not too confusing. But there was this interesting one. Orbital velocity is 12.8 kilometers per second, and I thought that number seems kind of familiar to like the size of Earth. So I looked up Earth, and Earth is 12,700 kilometers in diameter. So if you kind of divide that out, then the planet Jupiter moves about a full Earth diameter in 1,000 seconds, if I did my math correctly, and I think I did. So that means that Jupiter moves the entire width of Earth in about 17 minutes. And I thought that was kind of an interesting point to make. So look for the Great Red Spot. There are some apps out there that can help you locate that when it will be crossing the meridian of Jupiter, which is going to be that center line between north and south. And there's also apps out there that will tell you which moon is which, because when you look for the moons of Jupiter, I'm going to back this out just a little bit so we can see. There we go. I'm going to even go ahead a day because apparently it appears that we might actually have a moon missing. There we go. So there's 4 moons. Now you can see where all 4 are. And Stellarium will actually help you identify what the moons are too. Io is always going to be the closest one, so it's super fast. And sometimes you will even see shadow transits across the face of Jupiter. That's kind of a neat thing to see because you'll see that black dot. If you happen to see that, that's the shadow of one of the moons crossing in front of the planet. I'll try to highlight some of those as I see those come up. Because it's low in the sky, people with smaller telescopes might do a little better just because you're looking through a smaller column of air compared to larger telescopes where you're looking through more of that atmospheric turbulence. So if you have a couple telescopes, try each one and see which one gives you the best view. If you're just having bad turbulence, use lower magnification and try to tease out whatever detail that you can. You will have to be patient to see detail no matter what, just because that's how planets work. So keep looking at it for a while, at least for 17 minutes, while Jupiter does a complete diameter of Earth move through the cosmos. That's all for this week. Keep your eyes on the sky and your outdoor lights aimed down so we can all see what's up. I'm David Fuller, wishing you clear and dark skies.